Nah, good. No, so hit some of the obvious ones, right? So long as school funding is tied to local property taxes, you will always have this disparity. Everything is tied together. So if you sit there and you look at home ownership rates, which has actually declined for the black community because we were on our best increase up until the 2008 crisis. And then coming out of that, we were the worst hit coming out of that crisis. So black home ownership has stalled, if not fallen off the map. So that means we're in more apartments. Well, when you move into an apartment, that means you do not have the same property tax structure as you would for a bunch of subdivisions full of homeowners, right? Then, as Tracy touched on in the last discussion, you have the situation where it's no longer quote unquote redlining, but it is still the exact same thing from a de facto standpoint, right? So there's two different things. There's de jure and there's de facto. Redlining was de jure. That was rules that were set in place that said these people, we don't give them loans, and if we do give them loans, then their property would never be valued very much. And boom, that's de jure. De facto is when you don't have a law that says it, but the custom or the rules have been set in place at a societal level so that just because this is in a quote unquote black community, then those values can't be very high. So that is the society putting that in there. So you still have that going on. That's why when Tracy was talking about you trying to sell your house and you got to remove anything that could imply that you're black, that a black person lives here, got to be stripped out that house. And in fact, if you are in an interracial relationship, make sure the black member of that relationship ain't there, or you go get your white friend to come and show your house for you. Okay, so that is the jure, right? Systemic racism and discrimination, right? Well, that feeds into this education piece because that means you're not getting the property taxes there. And when I was talking about with the apartments, those are business taxes. What do businesses do? They reduce their taxes or avoid their taxes. So that means that they're not consistently paying the taxes into the county the same way you or I will because it's tied into our escrow. So once again, you have that funding crunch that happens. Then you have the Title I situations that are disproportionately put on black and poor communities. Now the money is coming in from the federal government, but it's going into random programs and things like that, not actually funding the school itself. So you have disparate impact there as well. It's a huge thing, and if people really want to look at it, it's humbling and it's challenging. But what I want to say coming out of this, while I'm talking fast, what I want to say out of this is, yes, that is the situation, but there are things that we can do to change the impact or the way it impacts the students in the meantime. And that can mean volunteering at the school. That can mean running programs like we did with Complex Mind, where we help support different aspects of the school. That can be going off the books, helping individual teachers, which, and the reason I say off the books is because there are rules in place, folks, that teachers can't even take help from you. Okay. So I tried to run a program at one point where it was like, hey, we're just going to sponsor a class, right? Once a month, we'll do a pizza party, or once a quarter, we'll do a pizza party. Here's an extra $50 every single month. Whatever you need to do for your classroom, you do it, right? That type of thing. And I was told, can't do it. They would rather teachers have to run fundraisers and beg people for money than have anyone support anybody. So it's wild. And then this is an aside, but when I drive to work, I drive from my side of town to the other side of town. Well, as I'm driving to work, there's this huge compound that they have built just off the interstate of 285. It is massive. I didn't know what it was. They just recently finished it. It's a public school, folks. But guess where it sits? It sits in the community where Halle Berry used to live. This is a public school, but you can't afford to live there. So it might as well be private. It's man. All right, I'm done.